There are crimes that scream for attention, that demand justice with their brutality. And then there are crimes so meticulously sinister that they whisper, buried in the ash of the morning fog. On the 76th Republic Day of India, while the nation awoke to celebrations and the sound of marching parades, an unspeakable horror smoldered quietly in the underbelly of East Delhi. At precisely 4 a.m., just before the first light could reach the grimy pavement of Shivaji Road near Ambedkar Chowk in Ghazipur, a call crackled through the police control room. A smoldering suitcase was discovered in a trash heap. Inside, the charred remains of a human body. No one was prepared for what would follow. As S.O. Nirmal Jha and his team reached the scene, the narrow alley was already buzzing with murmurs and dread. The scent of burnt fabric, plastic, and flesh clung to the air like a dark omen. The suitcase was almost completely destroyed, except for its steel handles, stubbornly untouched by the flames. Inside, the body had been contorted and forced into the cramped space. Even in death, the victim had been denied dignity. Though severely burned, the outline hinted unmistakably at a young woman. Who was she? And who would do this to her? Jha, an officer hardened by years of urban crime, knew better than to trust what the eyes saw. With surgical precision, he cordoned off the area and examined the surroundings. No footprints, no discarded belongings, no blood trail. But crime leaves echoes, always. His eyes caught the one thing that might have survived the inferno: a CCTV camera perched silently nearby. Jha instructed his team to secure the footage immediately. In the distance, sirens wailed as the forensics van approached, and the first threads of this tangled mystery began to unravel. Minutes later, DCP Abhishek Dania arrived at the site. As he stared into the blackened core of the suitcase, his expression turned grave. "This wasn't random," he said quietly. "This feels personal. Whoever did this knew her, perhaps a husband or a lover." His words carved through the silence like a blade. Jha agreed. "Sir, whoever brought this suitcase didn't come from far. With Republic Day security, checkpoints are tight. No outsider would risk moving a corpse across district lines today." Dania's gaze lingered on the ashes. Then he turned to Jha. "This is your case now. Solve it." Back at the station, Jha issued orders with mechanical efficiency. The body was sent for autopsy. The forensic team began its delicate extraction of evidence from the scorched suitcase. Meanwhile, local residents were questioned. Most knew nothing, until a middle-aged man stepped forward. "I saw flames," he said hesitantly, "around 1:45 a.m. I was on my rooftop, going to the bathroom. There was fire near the trash heap, but I assumed it was garbage burning again. That happens often here." Jha leaned in. "And you're sure about the time?" The man nodded. "When I got back inside, it was 1:50 a.m. This revelation tightened the timeline. The suitcase had been dumped between 1:30 and 1:50 a.m., mere hours before it was found. Jha filed the detail away, his mind already racing through possibilities. Who would know the area well enough to find such a secluded corner? Who would dare act during a national holiday, under heightened surveillance? He returned to the station and filed the murder under IPC sections 302 and 201. Meanwhile, the team began the digital hunt, scrubbing every second of CCTV footage near Shivaji Road between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. The footage revealed a sequence of passing vehicles, mostly scooters, a few cars. Then one caught their attention, a Hyundai Verna, driving slowly past the trash heap at 1:35 a.m. Not a delivery vehicle, not a garbage truck. The license plate was traced using ANPR systems. Registered owner, a man in Lani, Uttar Pradesh. But upon contact, the man claimed he had sold the car weeks ago to a certain Amit Tiwari. He drives it as a cab now, the previous owner said. The address? SBI Building, 3rd floor, Kota Colony. That was uncomfortably close to the crime scene. Jha didn't wait. Within the hour, they reached Amit Tiwari's flat. He was packing a bag, preparing to run. When he saw the uniformed figures blocking his doorway, the color drained from his face. Where are you taking me?" he stammered. Jha raised an eyebrow. "Running so early, Mr. Tiwari? Tell me, what was your car doing at Shivaji Road at 1:35 a.m.? Amit's mouth opened, but no words came. Seconds later, handcuffs clicked into place. "You're not being arrested for your silence," Jha muttered. "You're being arrested for what you did to her." Interrogation began with denials. Then came the breakdown. Her name was Shilpa, Amit confessed, eyes red and trembling. She loved me, obsessed over me. She threatened to file a rape case if I didn't marry her. He had killed her after a heated argument. I never wanted her. We were living together. She was my cousin, distant, but still family. She ran away from her home in Gujarat and came to me in November. I should have sent her back. Instead, I killed her. The room fell silent. The weight of that confession was unbearable. But Amit hadn't acted alone. When asked how he decided to burn the body, he hesitated. "Anuj Sharma," he whispered. "He told me to do it. Helped me with everything." The trap widened. Police raided Anuj's home the next morning. He was arrested without resistance. A welder by trade, part-time cab driver, and now accessory to murder. Both men were locked up, their faces empty, their futures incinerated by one night's choice. Yet something still didn't sit right with Jha. This wasn't just a story of passion or fear. Something colder lurked behind those flames. The audience is left with one burning question. Was this truly a crime of impulse? Or were Amit and Anuj merely pawns in a darker, more calculated plan? The evidence had spoken, but was it the whole truth? What if the flames were meant not to hide guilt, but to bury something far more terrifying? They thought it was over. With Amit and Anuj in custody, the police had their story, their confessions, and their criminals. The press would soon be briefed. The public would soon forget. But Sho Nirmal Jha had seen too many cases wrapped too neatly, too quickly. He could not ignore the peculiarities, the way Amit spoke of Shilpa, the way Anuj offered help without hesitation, without even asking what he was getting into. These weren't cold-blooded murderers. They were cowards. Someone else had lit the fire behind their decisions. But who and why? As post-mortem reports arrived, a detail emerged that cleaved through the lies. Shilpa had not been strangled as Amit claimed. Her hyoid bone was intact, no pressure marks on the neck, no signs of ligature strangulation. She had died from blunt force trauma to the back of her skull, a single, crushing blow. So he lied, Jha muttered under his breath. But why lie about the method of killing when he had already confessed to murder? Either Amit was deliberately distorting the facts, or he didn't know how she actually died. Jha returned to Amit's cell. "Why did you lie?" he demanded. "There are no marks on her neck. She was hit in the back of the head. So either you're protecting someone, or you're hiding something." Amit trembled. I thought I strangled her. We fought. I pushed her. She hit the wall. I panicked. I thought I finished it." His voice cracked. Jha stared into the man's bloodshot eyes. This wasn't a killer recalling his crime. This was a man haunted by a blank space in his memory. Something wasn't adding up. Jaw's instinct screamed. The real killer was still outside the cell. Forensic data deepened the mystery. No fingerprints on the inside of the suitcase. No strands of Amit's hair or fibers from his clothes. Everything inside the suitcase had been meticulously wiped or burned. And the suitcase, it was expensive, branded, imported. Far beyond Amit's financial means. "Where did you get the suitcase?" Jha asked Anuj. The boy blinked. "It was Amit's, I think." Jha leaned in. "Number think harder." Anuj swallowed. "He said it was lying in the building's storage. I never questioned him. Convenient. Too convenient." Jha now had 3 questions and no answers. Whose suitcase was it? Who struck the fatal blow? And why was Amit so eager to confess? Digging into Shilpa's background, a disturbing portrait emerged. She wasn't just a runaway in love. She was fleeing something. In Gujarat, she had filed a workplace harassment complaint against a senior manager at her textile firm, one that had mysteriously disappeared from the police records 2 weeks later. Her father, a laborer, had begged her to drop it, fearing reprisals. Shortly after, she left home and appeared at Amit's doorstep, not for love, but for refuge. Her own family had turned against her. Jha stared at her photo. There was fear in her eyes, and secrets. As Jha pursued this thread, a troubling name resurfaced. Manav Mehta, the same executive Shilpa had accused. The company had deep ties to contractors in Delhi, particularly in Ghazipur. Mehta was known to use underground channels to silence complaints. One such associate? Jagdish Sharma, Anuj's father. It was all too precise. The puzzle pieces locked into place. Amit, naive and impulsive, was just a shield. Anuj, connected by blood to Jagdish, was the enforcer. But someone else had orchestrated the cover-up. The suitcase, the fire, the plan. A third man, and perhaps the real murderer. Jha summoned Jagdish Sharma for questioning. The man arrived, smiling, composed. "My son made a mistake," he said calmly. "But he's just a boy, misled by bad company." His words slithered through the room like a venomous fog. Jha studied him carefully. "And what about the suitcase, Mr. Sharma? An imported item, surely not from the alley behind your slum." Jagdish chuckled. "Who knows what people throw away these days, Inspector?" It was then Jha noticed it. A scar on Jagdish's knuckle, fresh and deep, from striking something, or someone. That night, Jha reviewed security footage from the building's storage room. There it was, grainy but clear. Jagdish entering with gloves, dragging the suitcase. Minutes later, Amit entering, confused. He had not planned the disposal. It had been arranged for him, manipulated. He had been offered a choice, burn the body or face the law. Terrified, he complied. Jha's heart hardened. He knew now. Amit hadn't planned the murder. He had covered it up, consumed by fear, guilt, and the illusion that love had brought her to him. But the fire had been prepared long before the spark. Jha issued an immediate arrest order for Jagdish Sharma. But when they raided his home, he was gone, vanished. The neighbors claimed he left at dawn, carrying a bag and a burner phone. A man who had lived here for 10 years had evaporated in minutes. "He knew," Jha muttered. "He knew we were getting close." The trail was cold, but the fire wasn't out. Not yet. Jagdish had lit the match, but someone had handed him the torch. The case now stood at a crossroads. 2 men behind bars. A girl dead. A suspect on the run. But above all this hovered one pressing, poisonous question. Who truly wanted Shilpa dead? Was it Jagdish, fearing exposure of his underworld ties? Or someone higher, wealthier, hidden deeper within the city's skeleton? but with deeper questions. You believe you understand murder, betrayal, and manipulation, but you only see the smoke. I see the source of the fire. Silence had never felt so loud. Jagdish Sharma had disappeared like smoke from a dying fire, and with him, the last known link between Shilpa's murder and the deeper rot hidden in the alleys of Ghazipur. Nirmal Jha stood in his office, surrounded by files, photos, timelines, chaos dressed as evidence. 2 men were behind bars. But he knew, with a certainty that throbbed like a wound, that justice hadn't been served. It had been staged, like a puppet show, meticulously choreographed to lead investigators into a dead end. 3 days passed. Then a call. Anonymous. Distorted. A man's voice. Calm. Deliberate. Stop digging. The girl was warned. She didn't listen. Some flames should not be put out. The call disconnected before tracing software could lock on. But it was enough. Someone, somewhere, still feared the truth being unearthed. Jha replayed the recording a dozen times. It wasn't Jagdish. Too polished, too intentional. This voice belonged to someone above the street level, someone whose words were not spoken in panic, but in control. So Jha returned to the beginning. Shilpa, the girl no one truly saw, the complaint she filed, the harassment that disappeared, and a name, Manav Mehta, the manager whose record was suspiciously clean despite rumors of misconduct. Jha dug deeper, accessing financial records, corporate links, and contractor invoices. What he found was not shocking, but chilling. Jagdish Sharma was listed as a subcontractor under one of Mehta's dummy firms. Not just once, repeatedly. Payments masked as logistics fees, often routed around times when internal incidents occurred at the firm. Jha approached the commissioner. "We need a surveillance order on Mehta. There's enough circumstantial evidence to tie him to Jagdish and, potentially, the murder." The request was met with discomfort. He's a big name, Jha. Connections in Noida, Gurugram, even MPs in his pocket. We move without concrete proof, and we won't just lose the case, we'll lose careers. But Jha didn't flinch. "Then let him come after mine. I didn't join this force to protect the rich from the consequences of their crimes." The order was granted. Reluctantly, covert surveillance began. For a week, Mehta's movements were tracked. Nothing out of place. Gym, office, dinner parties. The perfect facade. But on the 7th night, just past midnight, he made a call. A burner phone traced to a tower near Ghazipur. "It's handled," he said. "I don't care what the inspector thinks he knows. He has no body, no connection. And Jagdish will stay buried just like the girl." That was enough. Not admissible in court, but enough for a raid. Jha and his team stormed Mehta's farmhouse in Noida the next morning. They didn't find Mehta, but they found the bag. Inside, forged IDs, passports, a ticket to Dubai, and the missing phone used to make the threat. The noose tightened. Mehta's lawyers issued public denials. "My client is being harassed by overzealous police." But Mehta himself vanished. Another man swallowed by the city, like Jagdish, like so many before him. The system didn't protect the innocent. It protected the invisible. With nothing left but the charred remains of a girl no one cared to save, Jha did the only thing he could. He released the full story to the media, uncensored. Shilpa's name, her complaint, the threats, the cover-up, the involvement of Jagdish, and the powerful men who vanished as quickly as they appeared. The city reacted with outrage. Protests erupted, but Mehta remained a ghost, untouchable. The justice system blinked and moved on. Amit and Anuj were convicted. Manslaughter, disposal of a corpse, conspiracy, 10 years, 15 maybe, but they would live. Ja visited them once before the sentencing. "You were pawns," he said. "But the moment you burned her body, you stopped being victims." Amit didn't look up. Anuj did. He said she'd ruin us, said no one would believe her. Ja leaned closer. "And you believed him." Anuj nodded slowly, because it was easier than believing her. Shilpa was buried in a small cemetery near Dadri. No headlines, no ceremonies, only her father, her mother, and a laminated photo that didn't capture her fire. Ja stood at a distance. There were no words for what had been lost, not just a life, but a voice, a truth that had tried to speak, but was silenced by the world it trusted to listen. He walked away as the last handful of dirt was thrown over her coffin. She was gone, but her silence screamed louder than ever. In the end, the case was marked closed, but Ja never closed it. Not in his heart. Every time he saw a young girl boarding a bus, walking home alone, staring out the window of a crowded cab, he thought of her, of the suitcase, of the fire, and of the truth they never let her tell.